Cyberpunk 2077. What an epic fail. I would like to share my feelings and my opinion and my honest thoughts on my experience so far with Cyberpunk. I've only played about 15 hours anyway, and I don't want to make this too long of a video, but I would like to let you know that I will be making the Cyberpunk 2077 in less than 2 minutes review, so, make sure that you hit the subscribe button, and yeah, because you're not going to want to miss that, I promise you. But anyway, let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Right off the bat, I do want to mention that Cyberpunk is not terrible by any means. Now, with that said, the only actual way you will get to completely enjoy the Cyberpunk experience at this moment in time is if you own a high-end PC or one of the new consoles, but even then, they are struggling to hit the 60 frames per second. So clearly, the high-end PC is certainly the way to go, which of course will have all the bells and whistles like DLSS and ray tracing, as well as 4K 60 frames per second minimum. I mean, unfortunately, if you're like me, and in actual fact about 50% of the player base at least own a low to mid-range PC, so it's a huge minority that will be playing the game with these ultra max settings, running them at 4K at 60 frames per second or higher. I mean, that's going to be a very, very, very small percentage of the player base. But anyway, the game is certainly playable, but it just doesn't look that great, if I'm honest with you, and it just doesn't run all that well. There was so much hype, so many delays, so much anticipation. This game was hyped to death, to the point where so many people were under the impression that Cyberpunk would be the best game ever made. And I'll admit, I was really looking forward to this game, as everyone else was too. The Witcher 3 is definitely in my top 3 favorite games of all time. And when CD Projekt Red showcased Cyberpunk, I was all in. I couldn't wait, which makes it so much more painful and so much more disappointing. I mean, again, I've played around 15 hours or just over that now, which isn't a huge amount, but it's kinda enough to see all these flaws that are within the game. Of course, by now, everyone already knows that Cyberpunk is extremely plagued with bugs, to an insane amount, actually. #Cyberbug has been trending on Twitter for a number of days, and you can see some spectacular bugs within that particular feed. CD Projekt Red have released statements where they've apologized for not showing the gameplay on last-gen consoles. There's been leaked emails from the high-up executives stating that it's their own fault. Emails that say CDPR had to hit a certain number with the review scores in order to get their bonuses. I mean, there's just so much negativity surrounding the game right now. It's disheartening. It's almost like when Anthem was released. Obviously, Anthem was a terrible game, and it was in a terrible state, so we can't really compare it to Cyberpunk, but you get what I mean. Anyway, another major flaw is the performance and optimization. Basically, Cyberpunk 2077 is pretty badly optimized for anyone with a low-end gaming system. So if you own a PS4 or an Xbox One, well, you're basically screwed, and I'm sorry. The Metacritic review scores for the PS4 and Xbox are abysmal. Players on the PS4 are getting crazy frame rates of like 15 frames per second and under. Same for Xbox players. And they're also getting awful rendering problems and a bunch of other stuff that shouldn't really be happening and is just not acceptable, especially because Cyberpunk was originally designed for the PS4 and Xbox One, and obviously PC as well. But yeah, it's ridiculous. I honestly believe that last-gen consoles are really what have held this game back in this particular aspect in terms of quality and optimization. I think if they had specifically optimized it for PCs, PS5s, and Xbox Series X, the game would run much better. It took me about 2 or 3 hours to optimize it for my own PC and get a nice clean 60 FPS without any screen tearing. And I'm on the mid-range. I'm on what they recommend as your requirements, which is 1660 Super. So I don't have DLSS on my GPU, but now is running pretty smoothly, and to be fair, I haven't had any crashes at all, so in that sense, it's all good. In terms of the story in-game, I mean, so far, it's pretty awesome. It's very well put together. Great acting, great characters, no complaints at all. Everyone does keep saying how great the world looks and how great Night City is, and okay, it's all right.
There's the bitch I know.
It feels at times a bit empty and a bit lifeless. Also sometimes does feel a little bit boring. I mean, at least so far. But it's really the bugs that are, as of right now, the total and complete downfall of this game. CD Projekt Red should have delayed the game. Again, probably until next year, mid next year or something. Because, I mean, right now, the game is not finished. It is not finished. And it seems that pressure or whatever from directors and executives at CDPR may well be why the game has been released in this state. Obviously, CDPR went ahead and released a broken game, and one that the entire world was looking forward to. This is not good for a company like CD Projekt Red. Their reputation has undoubtedly been damaged, and I really hope that they manage to patch these bugs sooner rather than later. But anyway, do let me know your thoughts on Cyberpunk. Are you playing it? Are you enjoying it? Do you hate it? Do you love it? As always, leave it in the comments. Thank you all for watching. Goodbye.
You're right. I sound like an asshole.